there's nothing lingering. So that's I'd almost call that an abundance of caution.
And then with Wentz, just in terms of his kind of knowing where to throw or the command, how have you seen that progress just even today?
Well, you can see it. I mean, just watching him go through his progressions. There were a couple times, that he went back and you saw him. He started from one side, worked to the other side. Another time I saw him come back down to a check down. So again, it's understanding what we're trying to do, and he seems to have a good grasp of it already.
At safety with Butler, Forrest, Reeves, at tight end with no Logan, there are some crowded areas. How will you handle those spots here in the early going, and what sort of things will separate those guys in your eyes?
Well, we just want to watch these guys get opportunities and just really go through it. When we got plenty of time, that's the best part about it. We just started camp. We're going to take a look at everybody. We'll try and get guys as many reps as we can so we can make a good, honest evaluation.
And with Antonio out, he'll be back soon. Brian Robinson Jr., what can he add that's different to the backfield that you didn't have without him?
Well, I think he's a big, strong, powerful downhill runner, more so than anything else. He does have a little bit of shake to him, but I think if you look at it, Antonio is a little more elusive guy, more off the edge. Where with Brian, we can take it inside or we can take it off the edge.
Just overall, coming back after a month, the retention, you mentioned Carson, but just the rest of the guys kind of pick up where we left off.
I was happy with where we are in terms of retention, but we got to practice better than we did today. I mean, we just got started. It was fresh in these guys' mind as far as what we're doing. But again, how we do it, we got to be better at it.
Hey, Coach, a lot of the fans wait for this day, and from your perspective, you've been in this league for a long time. What is the first day of training camp like?
A lot of optimism, more so than anything else. That's what it really is. Everybody comes in with a good feeling, all that stuff. But for us, we've got to make sure it's about the evaluation process, and we got to continue to look at what we have and build on it.
And how good does it feel to have Terry McLaurin on board with a long contract, seeing him out there train? Is there, aside from that, is there someone that jumps out that you say, okay, I like what I'm seeing?
Well, I'll say this, just watching Terry go deep and catching the ball the way he did and going after it and making the plays, if anybody's wondering why we did it, that's, to me, the perfect example why we did it. So far in the first day, there's a lot of guys doing some good things already, but, we really won't know until we get a little bit deeper into camp.
Right, you were asked a lot yesterday about kind of the return to normalcy, but how nice is it to have a camp where you have a starting quarterback in place, you have a lot of the kind of starters set? How nice is it to have kind of that lack of maybe kind of drama?
Well, it's good because, there's no doubt, you're not sharing reps, stuff like that, at specific positions. When you got most of your core position set, you're not having to run guys in and out. You can just go ahead and line those guys up and play.
Ron, Montez Sweat, obviously without Case, he's the focal point on the edge rush. What did you kind of see from him today?
Well, he looks explosive already. I mean, he's a tremendous athlete, and his athleticism shows very quickly.
And reportedly, you guys were stripped of a couple of OTA practices for next year. You were fined, reportedly, because of excess hitting in the previous session. Was that an emphasis of anything that you guys said to the players today about being mindful of what they're doing?
Yeah, it's the same emphasis we did during OTAs and minicamps. Sometimes things happen. Guys run into each other. I try to make a point of it. I try to emphasize it during OTAs and minicamps that we're supposed to keep our heads out of it. We're supposed to defer to the receivers. I repeated that emphasis yesterday in our team meeting, and I repeated it today just before we started practice. We're mindful of the rules, in spite of what was said. I disagree with their assessment of it, but they're the ones who make the assessments.
With Carson coming in, can you tell pretty quickly if a quarterback already has a strong rapport with his receivers, if that connection is there?
It's kind of interesting because between he and Terry, it was kind of cool to see. He threw one out there, Terry went out and got it, and then another one he threw a little behind Terry, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, he missed it. But then Terry came over and told him, hey, I came out of that too soon. So you can see that they're already communicating with each other, which was really kind of cool because my first impression was, oh, he missed a throw. But when Terry came back and told Carson, hey, I came out way too soon, you see that they're developing that type of rapport that's going to be very helpful for each other, for us, for that matter.
And how about Carson with the running backs? How has this timing been from what you've seen so far?
Well, I think it's been pretty good. I really do. I think again, he'll continue to work with those guys. And, you know, like I said, this is early. We got a lot of time to work and develop that.
Do you actively get kind of jacked up for a day like today, or are you more even keeled, knowing that there's a whole grind ahead of you?
No, it's always fun. The first day is always fun, and you know, it's one of those things. The guys come out with a tremendous amount of enthusiasm. You know, like I said, optimism is high, and you just, you know, you feed off of that kind of energy. I mean, you know, in about a week, you guys will probably ask me about the grind, but that's just the nature of the business. These first few days, you know, everything's going to be you know, high energy. I mean, like today's practice was only 90 minutes. You know, they had a lot of energy, and we'll ramp it up gradually. We'll get into the shells and then into the pads, and you know, the next 7 days. But what's happening right now is our guys are just working through the beginning. They're going to be optimistic and excited, but again, then reality will set in a little bit. Yes, I don't know if you guys noticed, but you guys didn't hear the clack of the helmets today. That's typically what happens when you don't have the Guardian caps on. You know, inevitably, it's incidental contact. Helmet will be hitting helmet. But with these Guardian caps, what they'll do is they'll absorb some of the shock and take a lot of the shock off of the players' helmets and heads. And it's one of the things that, you know, the competition committee, along with the NFLPA, and the medical teams have looked at. And that's why we have the Guardian caps on, and I wouldn't be surprised if at some point it's going to be mandated, you know, through OTA's minicamp, and you know, because right now it's going to go through the majority of training camp, and then I don't know where it'll go as far as the regular season. But if this comes out and this really helps reduce it, then I'd imagine we would continue to find ways for player health and safety.
Last one. Anything else?
All right, cool. Thank you, guys.